Hey, and welcome back to Trim the Fat, a podcast designed to help us on our emotional, our physical, and our spiritual journey. We want to remove the fat, the fears, the anxieties, and the traumas that somehow keep us stuck. I'm Rhonda Garner. Today I have Timothy Davis here with me, a friend of mine. He's a dad. He's an entrepreneur. He's a funny man. He has so much stuff going on. I'm just happy to have him. So Tim, you want to introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about yourself, what you've been doing.
Absolutely. As you stated, my name is Timothy Davis, a.k.a. Preacher Tim. And like you said, I wear many hats. I'm a chef, I'm a dad, I'm a preacher, I'm a comedian, singer, songwriter, producer. I just try to have my hands in a little bit of everything.
Good. We're going to get to all of that because we were just talking about your food last night. I was at book club and one of my friends, Leah, who's your friend, we were saying, okay, we need somebody to come cook for us. And she was like, what about Tim? And I said, well, I'm going to have him on the podcast. So
Absolutely.
We're gonna try to woo you to come talk to us. So I'm glad you came. And I told you, I know we prepared to talk about some things. I want to do a little game, for lack of better words, with you. What we're going to do is just talk about, I'm going to bring up a word.
Okay.
You're going to think of something from your childhood or your life that's taught you a lesson or something that's just more so memorable experience.
Okay.
So I know you wear a lot of hats. So one of the biggest things I wanted to talk about first was if you hear the word winning.
Winning.
What do you think about?
Man, so when I you know what? That's a good word. When I think about winning, I think in my younger years, I probably would have thought, in terms of being where you want to be in life, being already at that point where you can say, I've won. Mm-hmm. But to me, I think winning is not just the destination, but it's the journey in and of itself. You know what I mean? Like, you can have certain goals in life, but getting there little by little, learning things along the way, getting some life lessons and things like that. To me, I think if you think like that, you'll win all the time. Even what looks like a setback can be winning if you get from it what you're supposed to get from it.
Absolutely. You have anything that defines as like a winning moment for you?
Yeah, actually I do. I would even say for me a winning moment probably would be my divorce. Mm-hmm. And not from the aspect of the divorce itself, but for me it was a win because I learned some things from that situation that made me a better person. Mm-hmm. It actually made me better spiritually because there were some things that I thought about life. There are some things I thought about God and things that I thought about religion that I realized through that situation that I had life all wrong, and so when I came out of that situation, I really learned more of who I was, more of who God is. And so it was definitely a winning moment for me because I do believe that it made me better in a lot of ways.
Dang, okay. Well, that's interesting because some people would say, but I mean, I relate because at first it seemed like a setback,
right.
Or it seems because you're digging a hole. It could be financially, it could be emotionally, it could be all of those things. But then at the end, you had to say, okay, what did I do wrong? And what can I do better later if I get afforded the opportunity to get, married again and things like that?
Right.
Okay, good. Okay, winning. That was a good one. So what about power?
Man, when I think about power, I think about responsibility and accountability. Because sometimes you can have the power to do something, but if you don't have the wisdom to carry it out, then you will abuse that power, or you will use that power for a negative instead of positive.
Dang, yeah. Okay. Have you had any instances like that?
Yeah, I mean, even as a business owner, I am the owner of my business and I do have people that work under me. And so I have the power to hire. I have the power to fire. I have the power to get people to do things that I need them to do. But where the accountability comes in and the responsibility comes in at, before I do things or say things to the people that work underneath me, I have to ask myself, before you approach them, is this the way you would want to be approached? Is this how you would like to be talked to? Because it doesn't matter if you had the power to do it, because sometimes what you could do and what you should do is not always the same thing.
It sure ain't. Oh, I woulda, coulda, shoulda.
Yeah.
Okay, now taking it back. What about in your childhood when you think about adventure? Adventure, what's one of the most, or it could be a grown, as you being a grown up, the most adventurous thing or adventure. What's the memory there or thought that comes up?
My life in and of itself has been full of adventures, especially childhood. You know, I grew up in the Cherokee Heights, Orange Mound community area, and just as a kid, you know, a lot of me and my friends, you know, we did a lot of stuff, some good, some bad, and man, I think just kind of being in the hood was an adventure. You know, you always into something, and you're around people that's into stuff, and you definitely learn quick, you know, what to do and what not to do. So it's kind of hard to think of one adventure. I think my life in and of itself has just been an adventure.
What's your most recent adventure?
Man.
Because sometimes we don't have any adventure in our lives anymore. Sometimes, you know, especially after COVID, a lot of people say, you know, they gave up doing a lot of things, or they just don't feel like they have the oomph to have that fun or anything anymore.
You know what? I would have to say that my business is an adventure. Yeah. And the reason why I would say that is because, honestly, it started out as a joke. It wasn't something that I initially intended to take serious. You know, it was just, I was putting things out on Facebook and just saying it because I thought it was funny. But then over time, it became more and more real to me every day. And I started seeing good responses to things. And I was like,
let me run with this.
Let me see, you know, what I can do with this. And true enough, it has been an adventure, because this is my biggest entrepreneurship goal to date.
Good. Okay, so we talked about it, but we hadn't really got into what one of your businesses is. So Hood Hibachi, yes. And I remember you talked about how you was putting stuff on Facebook. So we go back, we know each other before this. So I remember when he was putting things on internet, it would be some little fortune cookie things like, man, you from Memphis, if this, and then he'll put that in, or he'll talk about things, and then he started putting things out like, I'm gonna cook this, and you know, everybody was getting excited. So yeah, tell us a little bit about how he got started.
Yeah, so the actual name of my business is Ghetto Gourmet.
Okay.
And Hood Hibachi happens to be one of the entities under that umbrella. And it started out just on Facebook. I would cook meals, and then I would name it after streets in my area.
Okay.
So like if I did a seafood boil, I would call it the Sims Street Seafood Boil, or the Beltline beef and broccoli, you know, that type of stuff. And so it started gaining a lot of traction because the names of the meals started to, you know, really go viral on Facebook and stuff like that. And so one day I cooked a hibachi meal, and like people were going crazy. They were like, when you selling this? I was like, I'm not selling this. I was like, this is just something I just did. And then one day I was like, man, COVID out here, ain't really nothing going on. Let's just see what it do.
Yeah.
And so I started with a logo. That got a lot of traction. Then we went from that to, you know, I just went and got a business license. And my first day open for business, I started on a pancake griddle at the house.
Dang.
That was my hibachi grill. And we sold so many meals off the pancake griddle. The very next day, we had to find a commercial facility to operate out of.
Look at that.
So, and it just took off from there.
Look at that. I know I was looking for it one day on It was like, okay, we closed on DoorDash. You got to move to DoorDash.
It started out on DoorDash, and then we moved to Uber Eats. And it's been insane.
Well, I
like,
know,
for
and I
real.
tasted some of your food before that because I remember you would cook some other stuff. So yeah, it's not just the hibachi stuff you could
Yeah.
cook. You could cook some of everything.
Yeah.
That's a blessing. A lot of men can't cook.
Yeah.
And you got two girls.
I got 2 girls. My oldest daughter is 18. My youngest daughter is 17. Both of them are equally in my pockets.
Yeah.
So, you know,
Let's talk about that fatherhood.
man, you know, being a father of girls, that's scary. That's scary in a
You
lot
think
of
it's
ways.
scarier than
Oh,
being-
it's definitely scary.
Okay.
Because I think it's scary because one of my biggest prayers is, Lord, I don't want my daughters to run into who I was a long time ago.
Well, I wish somebody would have prayed that for me.
Man, because you know, and it's like, and that's sincere. That's a for real prayer because when you know how you were and things that you did, it's like, man, I don't think I want my daughters to meet that guy. Now, I would love for them to meet the guy that I am now, but the guy that I was, I definitely don't want them to meet that guy. I'll be in jail if they ever meet that
You'll be
guy.
like Martin and Will Smith on Bad Boy.
Man. And then, you know, but it's also been interesting because their mother and I, we got divorced. I think our children may have been maybe 9 or 10.
Okay.
So, you know, being a father to daughters, and then I'm kind of doing it with not always the expertise of their mother. You know, I'm learning things every day. And so, you know, when you have daughters that come to you with certain issues, I know for me as a man, I don't ever want to feel like I don't have a solution to it. So it's like I have to man up quick. If they come to me with something, I'm like, all right, baby, give me just a second. And then I got to try to figure this thing out to try to give them the best advice that a dad could give. And then, you know, also not want, and this goes back to the word that you talked about earlier, power. I don't ever want to be so strong in situations or aggressive in situations that now they feel like they can't come and talk to me. Because it's like, well, shoot, every time we bring something to dad, he go through the ceiling, you know. So I have to try to learn how to be cool and learn how to listen first, and then not always responding the way that it comes to mind first. You know, sometimes I have to give myself a moment to figure out, okay, do I want to be aggressive?
Yeah.
Or is this just going to be a teachable moment for everybody? And I've learned that sometimes using the latter approach, it makes it comfortable for everybody. And now we can talk to each other without it feeling weird, you know?
Dang. So you know what I respect so much that you said you learn too. A lot of people, mothers or fathers or anybody else say, you know, that they do. I think I know. I've been there, I've done that, so I know how to answer.
Right.
But like learning and knowing that you're learning with them, I think that a daughter or son would just respect you, even that, and like you said, make the environment a little bit more, you know, bonding and more.
Right.
Less tension, and you know, where they know they feel comfortable come back again.
Absolutely.
So for me, I didn't have my dad, but I had my grandfather, and he really made that environment like that for us. This was a couple times where he was like, okay, no, I'm tired of the babysitting business. You know, I'm not doing this no more. But then like the next couple of hours, he'll be like, okay, what do you want to talk about? But it was certain things that, like you said, growing up in the hood, you know, we were like, okay, do I take this to my mama, or do I take this to my granddaddy, or do I just take this to a friend and don't take it at home at all?
Right.
So when you said you worry about your daughters, you know, meeting the man you used to be, in a way, I mean, there's no way for you to control that, but you do have some experience, and hopefully because you're setting up this foundation right now, that if they do, they can come to you and you can, you know, give some truth.
Yeah, and you know what, the key word, and for whatever reason, this is a word that God has put before me for several years now, and that word is grace, right? Because I think that sometimes we don't even know that we're doing it, but sometimes in life we live more through judgment than we do grace, right?
Okay.
And so judgment looks at where a person is. Grace looks at how they got there. And so what happens for me, I have to realize that yes, I've been my daughter's age before. But at 44 years old, I'm in this place in life where I got a chance to see life literally shift right before my eyes. Mm-hmm. And so how life was when I was 18 and how life is for them at 17 and 18, they living in two totally different worlds than what I lived in. So as a result of that, I have to try to look at things from their perspective, because there's temptations before them that wasn't before me at 17 and 18 years old. And there's, like, for example, I didn't get my first cell phone until I may have been about 20 years old.
Right, me. Yeah.
And, but you're talking now where kids got cell phones at 7 and 8, and some even younger than that. So they're exposed to a lot more. I went and picked up, this was some years ago. This was when my daughters were in middle school. And I had to go up to the school for something, and there was some kids in the hallway. And you know how you just hear them talking. Mm-hmm. And I'm hearing these kids talking. I'm like, I know I wasn't cussing like that at 12. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, if you 12 and you cussing more than me, that's a problem.
It's scary. It's scary.
And so, these kids are exposed to a lot more.
And they be saying things, they don't even know what they mean.
Exactly.
They saying stuff.
And we came up in the phase of life where we went outside and we played. Yeah. These kids are on the internet way more. Yeah. I mean, I was born, I don't think it was the internet.
I don't think it went out. Was it out? We just didn't have it if it was.
Because, I was raised on the computer with the black screen and the green letters on it and the big back on the computer, So I wasn't exposed to as much as they are. So I have to make sure that my approach with them says, hey, before you start tripping. Mm-hmm. And then kids now, they're under more pressures now, especially like on the internet. Social media has a way of presenting life from a perspective that's not always a real narrative, right? Mm-hmm. And so they sometimes have certain expectations that they feel like they gotta live up to. When we was growing up, if you was ugly, you was just ugly. It just was what it was, These kids now, they can put filters on their face and, and so now they have, like, I've never seen so many pictures where you don't even know what you're looking at. Because, like, everybody got these filters because they feel a need to
change it up.
I
mean, I put some on sometimes, especially when I be like, oh, my eyes look a little sleepy. Let me filter this on now. Or I'm looking a little old. Let me smooth this a little.
Man, shoot, I remember,
but it's true.
And then, also with social media, it has a way of presenting a false narrative about success. According to social media, everybody on top, everybody winning, everybody paid. Mm-hmm. But, that's not true. And then sometimes, these younger kids, they feel a need to live up to something that some of these folks that's posting this stuff ain't even living up to.
Right, it's true.
And so,
So that's what we got to teach. We have to teach our kids that. So I like that. With Nadia, we have a real good open communication, I hope. So for the most part, I feel like she feels comfortable. I do get mad sometimes, but I'm like, okay, and she was like, okay, Mom, calm down. She'll tell me, like, calm down. I didn't even say that. So I feel like the open communication is different, because when I was growing up and didn't have, with my mom, it's, sometimes you feel like, okay, can I say this? But with, it's just changed. Like you said, the times we change and we have to evolve and we have to try to adjust to how it is right now. So you did say one of the words that I was going to go to, you talked about success.
Man.
One word, yeah.
To me, I think that is a very interesting word for a lot of reasons, because I think that Western culture has tainted our view of that. Mm. If we had to be transparent and honest, this country that we live in has placed capitalism above everything. Ooh. So as a result of that, the only thing that we really respect is a dollar bill. Ooh. So every time a person mentions success or blessings or anything that's synonymous to that, most of the time they're relating it to something financial.
Okay.
But some of the people whose bank accounts may not be big are some of the most successful people in the world. Number one, because they can sleep at night, but then there are some people that have everything that money can buy and they're not successful at all. And so I think that, to me, success is obtaining the things that money can't buy. I used to hear a pastor say, money can buy you a bed, but it can't buy you no rest. Money can buy you food, but it can't buy you an appetite.
I love that.
It can buy you a car, but it can't buy you nowhere to go. So it's like when you're able to, and watch this, and not just obtaining the things that money can't buy, but success is learning the difference between happiness and joy.
Yes, okay.
Because
Yes.
in order for me to be happy, I always need something to be happening.
Okay.
But when I truly have joy, I can look in my bank account. It don't have to be but $3 there.
That's me right there.
But
$3.
Listen. I think mine might be in the negative. I gotta go back
But we
and
got
look
some
and see.
joy.
Yeah, but I got some joy though, and the reason why I have joy is because money and all of those things, they don't define me, right?
Yeah.
That doesn't make up who I am. Like, it's cool when I got it, but when I don't got it, I still know how to maneuver through life with a smile on my face.
Yes. Oh, I love that. Oh, I can't wait till we go back and see that part. No, because that's so meaningful. Because we get stuck in a little area like, okay, I don't have enough money to do this, so I'm not happy today.
Right.
Or I don't have what that person has on social media, so I'm not happy today.
Right.
Man,
Absolutely.
I'm so glad you touched on that, because I was going to go, my next word was happiness, but I'm going to skip over that one. And we're going to I'm going to think about inspiration. If you want, it could be an inspiration, a person that was inspiring to you, or music that was inspiring to you, because I know you love music.
Right.
Like when you think of the word inspiration, what's that for Tim?
You know what? To me, and for me, it's always been music, right? Because once again, I grew up, like, I don't really understand a lot of what's said in music today, because I don't even know what they be talking about. But, I grew up in that time frame where music spoke to you, right? And so, believe it or not, I think that especially R&B music really taught me how to love, believe it or not, because, there was a song for every type of situation. And, when you hear, especially in the era that I grew up in where guys big and stuff, like, they not begging no more. Like, I don't understand, they not begging, they not standing outside in the rain.
The women off.
None, right.
Yeah, ain't no new edition no more.
Right, none of that. And so, but, for me, inspiration is sometimes just walking out the front door. And like me, I'm one of those type of people that believes that God can speak through anything, right? So it's been times where I go outside and I see something. It could be an airplane, it could be a bird or something. And through just some of the most random things, God will give me a message and I'll be like, I bet, and that'll be my inspiration for the day. And I think that in order to have true inspiration, you gotta keep your heart open at all times, because sometimes you could expect the inspiration to come from here, but it's really coming from over here, and it doesn't always have to be somebody saying anything.
Yes, that's true.
Matter of fact, I'm gonna give you a prime example. I remember one day I was going through a situation and I was praying. I was like, Lord, I don't know what to do. Like, is now the time for me to make this move? And I remember driving. I can tell you exactly where I was. I was coming off of 240, merging on to 40, headed towards Bartlett area. And I saw this billboard, and the billboard said, "You're in the driver's seat." And when I saw that, instantly knew that God was telling me, do what you need to do. And I did exactly what I needed to do.
Don't you love that?
I love that.
And then, don't you love that?
I love that. But but if your heart and your ears and your
closed.
eyes are not open, you will miss it, because you will think that it's got to come from somebody saying something or doing something. But it could be from the simplest things, Yeah.
Dang, okay. Last word.
Okay.
Love.
Man, God.
Love. Okay.
Yes. And I say that because to me, your love and relationship with God sets the tone for your relationships everywhere else. For example, like I tell people, like marriage, when you say your vows, you're really saying them to God, right?
Okay.
So watch this. If a person just at will can break those vows, you have to ask yourself this question. If they will freely lie to God,
What about me?
then you know they don't have a problem with lying to you. So I said that to say, when we learn the dynamics of God and what his love looks like, then that will help us when we display that love to other people. Because if you really pay attention to God's love, one of the first things that we see is that the love he gave was never based on the worthiness of the recipient, but it was always out of the generosity of his own heart, which means that love is fully in motion when you have to love somebody that's not lovable. And because anybody can, show what we consider to be love when everything looks good.
Yeah.
But can you say, I know that you may not be worthy of my love at this moment, but I'm going to still give it to you anyway. Watch this, not because of who you are, but because of who I am. Because if you notice, God never fails to hold up to his end of the bargain just because we don't. So that means a lot.
I like that.
Yeah,
I like that.
real.
Oh, that's Preacher Tim right there.
That's Preacher Tim right there.
Tim right there. Yeah, well, I know we could talk about that too, but I mean, we don't have that much time. However, I wanted to talk about, before you go, one thing you do for you. I know you said you go outside and you look and you get what you're supposed to get and your inspiration, but what about self-care for me? Beer?
Yes.
That's self-care?
That's self-care.
Okay, tell me about
Very
your beer.
self-care.
Because I be seeing you post something about, okay.
Oh, God, I love beer. Like, with everything in me. So, and here's the thing. Like, for me, I literally like tasting different beers, trying beers from different countries and things of that nature. And that, like, I love to go to beer pubs. Okay. And I also love cigars too. So, pairing beers with cigars and things of that's what I do. That fun. Relaxes me, and it's a lot of fun. Yes.
I did one cigar one time, and I said I'd never do it again. I guess I did it wrong, but it was downtown at the Cigar Lounge by Peabody Place.
Yeah, Havana,
flavors or whatever, so they had the music in there, but I thought I was cool, and it didn't turn out too pretty.
You almost died.
I'm not doing that again. But I've never, that's the only time I ever smoked anything. I never smoked a cigarette or anything like that. But beer, I did taste a beer when I was in Houston, because I'm not a beer person. Okay. But I tasted a blood orange beer. Okay. I don't know who it was by, but it tasted. I was like, that sounds really good. It was in like one of those little, while you wait, the little lounges and things like that. But before we go, we can talk about the beer later. Okay. I want you to talk about your Hood Hibachi, where they can find you, your internet, your Facebook, your Instagram, and what it specialized, like all the different, talk about it.
Absolutely. So Hood Hibachi, where the chef is hood and the food is good. I'm located at 7946 Fisher Steel Road off of Germantown Parkway. I'm open to the public Monday through Wednesday, 10:30 to 2 for lunch, 5 to 8 for dinner. Thursday through Saturday, you can book me to bring the hibachi experience to you. Sundays, do not call me for anything. And I'm on Uber Eats. Also on Facebook, it's Hood Hibachi by Preacher Tim, that's PreachaTim. On Instagram is Hood Hibachi _Preacher Tim. And then you can look us up at www.hoodhibachimemphis.com.
I'm so proud of you. We got
you
so
so
much to
much.
talk about. So I
Yes.
hope that you're good and you will come back. I want to do a
Absolutely.
series called Man in the Mirror.
Okay.
So hopefully you can come back for that.
Absolutely.
And I'll be glad to have you. Thank you all for listening. I hope you got something from that. You can find Trim the Fat on Instagram at trim_the_fat. And then you can also find us at Facebook. We finally got a Facebook page. It's Trim the Fat Podcast by Rhonda G. Thanks for listening.